Hello guys, before we get to the actual video, I'd like to just quickly set it up. This was part of our 24-hour charity live stream for Child's Play. If you would like to donate or find out more about Child's Play, we'll include a link in the description below. We'll also throw in links to our social media accounts so you can follow everyone who is involved with this. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and start the video. Okay, while we wait, I'll just go ahead and introduce you to everyone. So, Orcastraw has made a name for herself through her incredible speedruns. Speedrunning primarily Nintendo games, Orcastraw was featured in the Guinness Book of World Records for an Animal Crossing speedrun. This year, she ran the newly released Breath of the Wild at Special Games Done Quick. Please help me in welcoming our next guest, Orcastraw.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Summer Games Done Quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The names can be tricky.
Yeah.
So what would you like me to do? Would you like me to jump into tricks, or would you have to do something else?
Why don't you go ahead and show some tricks?
Okay. So, as far as speedruns are concerned, glitches aren't used too much. But as far as messing around, there's lots of cool things to do. Because of how the game's formatted, with it being non-linear, there aren't any sort of sequence breaks or crazy things that you can skip. But this game is quite glitchy since the game engine is so complex. Obviously, there's going to be some kinks. And so one interesting glitch was found I think the day of or the day after this game came out is horse clipping. So pretty much anywhere that you have a horse, you have access to clipping into walls. So for example, this is Link's house. I don't think I've actually bought it in this save file, but it turns into Link's house. And so if you ever wondered, oh, what's in this little shed thing? There's no door. You can use this glitch to go through the door. So what you do is you back up the horse in front of a wall, and then you get off the horse and save. And after you load the save file, you'll be through the wall. The only drawback with this is that obviously you have to reload the map, which is quite slow. But it's faster than it used to be. I played this game at a demo during E3 last year, and it took almost a minute to reload areas, so it's better than it used to be.
But yeah, have the updates helped?
No. As far as the patches release,
yeah,
they haven't changed loads or anything. People sort of hoped that oh, the loads might help on the Switch, the Wii U, especially the Switch, because the Switch version isn't very optimized for the console. Some people hoped that it would improve loads, but no. The patches Nintendo's released have consistently added new glitches to the game, which is always very interesting.
Yeah. I remember hearing a glitch about you can collect infinite amount of Korok seeds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that glitch was actually the first glitch they actually patched, because previously they patched exploits, oh, you could have an enemy shoot the ground with an arrow and you can pick up those arrows. And they fixed that. But as far as an actual by definition glitch, they actually hadn't patched any until the recent update, and they took out that glitch. It was quite versatile. It would basically let you get infinite money by allowing you to get infinite guardian gears and stuff, and you could sell those. And then since it messed up the game's internal record keeping, you could go to shops and they would always be stocked up, so you could get infinite money and then infinite arrows and stuff. It was great. I don't have a version of the game with that glitch currently, so I can't show it off.
I know for speedruns.com, usually they have a more I guess selective version. So what version is the best one to speedrun? I'm guessing the earliest one, but is there one that's specifically labeled on speedruns.com to be used?
There isn't any like sanctioned or like best version. It's kind of hard to like revert patches or stay on an older patch, so everyone has the latest one installed.
Yeah, because you basically need to cut off your whole Wii U or Switch from the internet.
Yeah, and the Wii U, it's kind of simple. You can just install a certain DNS, and then you can still like go online and play online games. You just can't like play. You can't go to Miiverse and stuff. So basically, it's the same. But on the Switch, I don't think there's such a thing.
Yeah, the Switch.
There's like new games coming out all the time, so it'd still be quite a significant nerf.
With the Switch, like if you don't have the latest version installed, like if you update it and then uninstall it or something like that, it won't let you relaunch it until you re-download the update or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird. Because if you have a DNS installed that would like block updates, like I said, you can't go in Miiverse, and you also can't go to the eShop.
Yeah.
So that's quite a significant nerf. Like I know some people, they found like some hack for like the old Switch version. It's like on 3.0.1 right now, but they found a glitch on like 3.0.0, and they're like, oh, you know, don't update. And people are like, oh, I updated for Sonic Mania, and that's just how it is.
I know people abuse like, yeah, don't update for Splatoon 2 because it was some level in the second world where it's like, yeah, you can get infinite tickets.
Yep.
Yeah, there was some glitch in Splatoon 2 where you could get like infinite meal tickets.
Yeah, and people didn't update because of that, and then like, oh, I have 99. Okay, I'm safe to update it now at this point.
Yeah. Trying to get through this wall, but it's quite finicky. Ooh, okay. It's like awkward to slow down an opponent. Like she'll just go at full speed, and sometimes the fast way to get her to slow down is just to jump off her. If I can get close enough to this wall. Alright, that should work. So yeah, this glitch works anywhere that you have Epona and a wall, and you can just go through it with a quick save load. The only restrictions is that there's certain areas where Epona can't go, like the desert. So you couldn't do it to like go through a wall in the Yika clan or something. But she does not want to go through that wall. Let me try somewhere else.
It is crazy seeing like how fast like Breath of the Wild speedrunning happened with it, like you bring up earlier how it's like open world. Like we didn't find out about breaking through the barrier in Wind Waker until I think a few months ago.
Yeah.
But like you're seeing Breath of the Wild be broken up so quickly. It's insane.
Yeah, for Wind Waker it's interesting because there wasn't really like a big scene trying to find glitches for that game until like 2011. So even though that game has been out since like early 2000s, it really isn't that old in terms of like people trying to break it.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, the first day, I mean this game was in glitch testers' hands before release because of the leaks and stuff, and then people were data mining it and doing all sorts of stuff that you couldn't do back in the day.
Yeah, I remember the first thing being shown off was like stopping the time and just using a hammer. Just get right on top of the boulder. You're swung across the world.
Yeah. So how this game generates terrain, it uses like formulas or something. So when you have like a grassy field and then you have a wall, like this wall in front of it, the field doesn't exactly stop. It keeps going. So if you go through a layer of the world, you'll just find more under it. So we're currently inside a wall, and unfortunately in this game collision is double-sided, so a wall will block you from going into it if you're inside and on the outside, which is unusual actually. Like most games, if you're on the behind of a wall, you can just like walk through it.
Yeah, I know that's very true with like Twilight Princess speedrunning wise anyways, because there's a bridge on the Forest Temple. There's a collision on the inside of it, but not on the outside.
Yeah.
It is weird to see collisions like selected on both sides because usually developers are like, yeah, I don't want to do that second layer.
Alright, so that's that glitch. There's also another very destructive glitch, which is unfortunately not useful in speedruns. Importing the save files now. I have a tool which lets me import save files. Okay.
And you're using the Wii U version right now?
Correct. Yeah, the Wii U version is preferable because it's a hacked console, so I can like import save files with tools. But also it has faster loads, because as I mentioned before, the Switch version isn't the greatest port the resolution's only bumped to 900p. It's still 30 FPS, lags in the same spots. And for some reason, every loading screen is on average 2 to 3 seconds slower than the Wii U version. Loads aren't consistent in this game, but on average, the Switch version is going to be slower.
We had a question. Can you use the amiibo to spawn a Epona wall inside a wall?
It depends on the size of the wall. But like, the game has very strange parameters for spawning opponent. Actually, like, you could spawn opponent in a field. Like, I can try right here. Oh, it won't work. But if the game defines the space that you're trying to spawn opponent in as too cramped, then it won't let you do it. So like, I can spawn opponent here, but if I tried to like make a pen for opponent, like I've tried to do this before where I made a pen out of boxes, and then I wouldn't spawn her. So it has like a very conscious thinking on if it's gonna let you spawn opponent or not. So definitely not inside a wall, because the wall you're basically trapped between another wall and then the wall you just go through. So there's a glitch you can do here. If you press A and start at the same time, and then load a save file, certain characteristics will carry over. So executing A there made Link basically climb onto a wall, and it's going to carry over some of those variables from that into this save file. So right now I'm out of bounds in this shrine. This glitch basically allows you to displace Link a certain amount from the spawn point of the shrine. And so right now I'm on the ceiling of the shrine, and it's interesting. You actually can't really see anything. This is basically just a super closed off room. How shrines are made in this game is that basically the developers, they made like a couple of templates, and then whenever they wanted to make a certain shrine, they would just use those templates. So you have rooms like this that are completely not used at all, and they all have collision to both sides and everything. And they're just there. So the actual shrine is over here. This is where the puzzle is, and the exit. I'm trying to swim through. There we go. This is where the actual puzzles are, and everything that the player is going to actually interact with. But there's all this area outside of it. And the ceiling for the shrine is much bigger than you would ever actually see. They just took a texture and made it really big. Something interesting about this is that you will never sort of like fall to your doom. Like, it'll never fade to black when you fall. So Link can just fall infinitely here. And it's interesting. How games work is the farther you get from the origin, the more distorted graphics gets. So if I were to fall here for like 19 hours, Link's face would start becoming very distorted. I know that because someone's done that. That's what glitch testing is. But I can do anything I want to. It involves falling, so I can do some kick flips in midair. I can drop a bomb and watch it. Oh, I need to de-equip the shield. I can drop a bomb and watch it just sort of go somewhere. Oh, it's more interesting when you're at a high falling velocity, because the bombs sort of shoot up from above you. But yeah, this glitch has very interesting applications. So there, it shot me to the roof of the shrine because of where I was standing in Harrow Field. The spot I'm standing in is very deliberate. I'm not like, a happy field or like a town. The spot I'm standing in near Harrow Castle right now, this is the spot that's always going to put me on that ceiling. And how it works is, the displacement that it gives you in the shrine is dependent on your area on the overworld. So if let me see, if I go a little bit over here, ooh, it's raining. Okay. I'm gonna try going to the. Let's see. I don't have the save. So I'm gonna try going to the bomb shrine now, and hopefully. Here we go. So the goal here is to put me inbounds now instead of just going in the roof where I can't interact with something. I'm going to actually try and jump link straight to the ending of this shrine. And I'm on the roof again. Well, yeah. This glitch is decently precise. If you're going, you can do this glitch also in shrines. So like you can go from like one shrine to the other, and it'll give you this sort of displacement as well, which is more minute. But when you're going from like the overworld to the shrine, the amount of displacement you can get is quite huge, which means like very small steps will send you in completely different locations. But this is the roof of the bomb shrine, and you can see it has lots of just extra land here and here.
Can you clip yourself to the end from there?
No, unfortunately. I was trying to get myself to spawn inside the actual shrine, like not on top of the roof. But because of how the collision works, I can't get through. Like collision, like I said, is double-sided, but like obviously you're not intended to be on the side of it, so sometimes you can wiggle through.
Yep.
But with how shrines are, like pretty much all the collision is just like a flat. It's like flat. It's not curved. It's just like a wall or a ceiling. There's not any sort of like weird collision I could rub up against from the other side.
It is weird to see like an invisible ceiling while most games usually have invisible walls. You don't really see invisible ceilings in action.
Yeah, it makes sense though. Like I didn't know this game had ceilings in the shrines until I was doing this, but it makes a lot of sense because there's lots of objects you can interact with. Like I could take an object with magnesis, and then I could try and put it at the ceiling, and so obviously they have to put something there to stop you from going forward, or else you could just sort of like push metal objects, you know, model for the actual area.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me like when I was a kid, when I'm playing Zelda games, I would always try and like shoot arrows at like weird areas and see if they have collision or if the arrows can actually just go through the object. You can sort of do collision checks like that. So this is a cool shrine trick you can do. So there's a door over here I can try and get through, and by making a Cryonis block and then jumping on it as it ascends, you can actually ride that momentum like this. And so this is very versatile for just skipping large parts of a shrine.
Okay.
Alright, so this is an interesting one. Let me look this file up. So this last glitch is an interesting one. It basically, I think it's one of the more broken glitches because it interacts and affects pretty much all gameplay, in certain ways. It basically permanently puts our game in a glitch state. So this is the final boss fight.
We had a quick question. Is it possible to carry your position in the shrine to the overworld?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do that, if you attempt to do that, it won't do anything. However, there's one exception. If you're on like the Great Plateau during like the very beginning of the game, attempting to go from a shrine to the overworld will like trigger the function that thinks you're trying to like jump off the plateau. And so Link will sort of like crumble to his knees because like the game thinks he fell into a void.
Oh.
So I guess like when it does that, it executes that function where you like get off a wall. That's how you do the glitch.
Is it just
for that?
Go ahead.
I guess when it does that, I don't know. The game thinks Link is like far underground when you attempt to go from like the overworld, or from the front shrine to the overworld, just for like a 1 frame or something. Alright, so this glitch is an interesting one. You can basically completely escape the final boss fight and bring with you the light bow to interact with the worlds. The light bow is only used in this fight. It's basically like helps like progress the fight, which is totally scripted, but it does do actual damage. And the menu says it does 100 damage. That's actually true. So that tree jelly that I just killed actually took 100 damage. And the bow is infinite ammo, so it's quite OP if you carry this into normal gameplay. This I pretty much call this like final boss mode. Has a lot of interesting variables. You can't use the amiibo rune. It'll give you an error if you try to use it. And I actually can't save right now because the game thinks I'm fighting the final boss. But I can make that like save restriction go away, and then end up with a file that's saved and has the light bow. And in this mode, you also cannot interact with shrines. So making a save on the save file would basically dead end my ability to use amiibos or shrines ever again, which is very glitchy. I think it's a shrine over here to try to interact with.
Would you be able to get back into the fight if you want to?
Yes, the same way that you exit, you can re-enter the fight just by having a horse in a wall that the horse can squeeze through.
If you reload, does the light disappear? Does Ganon disappear?
The fight is... you can't make it go away.
Okay.
Like if I were to take this file and have it save, it would always have that boss fight there when I'm in this area. But it deloads the fight once you're a certain distance away. It's weird. I used to think they would deload this boss fight when it deloads Harrow Fields, but you can be a very great distance away, like at one of the edges of the world, and then see Harrow Field, but not have the boss fight loaded. So it has a like strange radius where it just deloads the fight. Farther from here though, I'd have to be like, how do I describe this distance? Alright, so here's the map. Probably...
I see you're also doing the infinite sprinting trick.
Yeah, that's called whistle sprinting. By holding down the whistle button and then mashing the B button, you get like a small boost of acceleration that you get when you start sprinting, and you can just keep mashing the B button, and you can basically walk at almost full sprint speed without depleting your stamina, which is really good. So here's a shrine, or at least where a shrine would be. It has full collision, and I can't interact with it, but this is where it would be. In the last patch for this game, they were actually visible. Almost every patch they've released changes this like final boss world, in some ways. Like it used to be that you couldn't interact with any NPCs. Wait. At first, it used to be that NPCs wouldn't load unless you like went to a minigame, and now they load. And before that, you couldn't even interact with NPCs. And then, like I said, in the last patch, it would actually like make the shrines visible. So it's interesting. Like
it's like they're fixing the glitch for you.
Yeah, because like obviously, if you save with this glitch active, it kind of dead ends your file because you can't go to any shrines. But if you don't care about shrines, you're technically fine. But yeah, before you could interact with NPCs, they definitely made it less painful if you had a file here. But they haven't made something like Skyward Sword where they like release a save file tool to like fix broken save files. They haven't done anything like that for this game. But yeah, the light bow. If you have the Twilight bow that Zelda amiibo gives you, it's pretty much the same thing. They both function mostly the same, where they travel like a really far radius. Something else cool about this bow is that the arrows you shoot don't slow down in slow-mo mode.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying to activate it. I don't have like a wall to jump off. But yeah, it's like a detail you probably would not notice at all in the final boss fight. But now that I have it in open range, I can actually like notice things like this. I think it's all the glitches I have set aside.
Okay.
Hopefully that was entertaining.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing these glitches.
No problem.
So, we're gonna go ahead and start doing the interview.
All right.
I'm just gonna turn down the game audio a little bit.
Okay. Do you want me to keep the stream up?
It's up to you.
I'll just cut the stream, I guess.
Okay. So, I think Real Hero of Wins is gonna lead this interview.
Okay.
So, how did you end up getting started with speedrunning? Was someone an inspiration to you out there? Did you just start watching them?
So I didn't know too much about speedrunning, and then I ended up finding Twitch and by extension a Twitch stream with speedrunning in it in 2012. And then a couple months later, I got my Wii U, and I heard that like the Wii U could play like Wii games in like higher quality. So I'm like, oh, I gotta test this out. And so to me, like the prettiest looking Wii game was Twilight Princess. So I booted up Twilight Princess, and I didn't have a save file. So I'm like, oh, I'll just play with glitches. And so I ended up learning parts of the speedrun route for Twilight Princess through the extension, and that's just how I got into speedrunning, just trying to mess with the graphics on my Wii U.
How far did you actually get with Twilight Princess then?
So in 2012, Twilight Princess was like very difficult to learn. It had hard tricks that nobody had like easy explanations for, and so it took me like around 5 to 7 months to actually learn the whole game. But I did end up doing that.
So, are there any specific challenges of speedrunning Breath of the Wild in particular?
The game itself, like the engine, is very complex. You have to learn how to manage your resources, like your weapons durability and how much food you have on hand. And when you have like the enchantments, like Rivali's Gale, you have to like sort of know when to use them and when they're recharging or when they're with you and stuff. And other like complex things like managing like lag and like the game is really complex. So just learning the game in general and all of its mechanics is the hard part.
It's definitely a big jump from other Zelda games. So seeing how that whole engine is set up, especially with how like the overworld like spawns itself, because of course it doesn't spawn everything at once. That would be too much for the Switch to handle at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I know you brought up you're at least trying to mess with Twilight Princess, but would you be interested in speedrunning other Zelda games or like different categories of Breath of the Wild, like 100%, all shrines, or anything like that?
Yeah. I think Push Destin mentioned this earlier that I did an Animal Crossing speedrun for the Guinness Book of World Records, and that was Animal Crossing 100%, which is 61 hours long. So with Breath of the Wild having like a similar, like ridiculously long 100% speedrun, I'm interested in doing Breath of the Wild 100% for sure.
What drew you into speedrunning Breath of the Wild specifically instead of any other game?
I started speedrunning Breath of the Wild just because it was fun. I wanted to play a cool new game, and I keep playing it and going back to it just because of how rich the game is. Like it has diversity in all the categories. Whether you're doing like if you're doing 90% or like all dungeons, it's very different, and it's just a very fulfilling game to come back and play.
Which trick is the hardest for you in Breath of the Wild?
It's different. So for any percent, the boss fights are like super technical. Like they take days and days to learn and grind out. It's not exactly a trick, but like that is definitely probably one of the hardest things in this game. As far as like glitches are concerned, I think whistle sprinting is awkward because it requires like the right hardware. Like it's pretty much impossible to do with like Wii U gamepad unless you have a hacked Wii, and then it's like really uncomfortable to do with a Pro controller. But if you just switch, it's easy to do with the Joy Cons, and so that's like it's just a big headache trying to sort of nail down um that.
Yeah, there's a lot of layout you have to set up for yourself in any trick.
Hmm.
So I was bringing up Twitch. Well, you were bringing up Twitch as an answer for like your inspirations and everything. But was there anyone in particular that stuck out to you?
Um, when I first started watching Twitch, I mostly just watched one streamer named Test Runner, and so that was a lot of my exposure to the speedrun community. So he was kind of an inspiration, just sort of seeing like, oh, you know, you can do this and you can stream speedruns and have people talk to you. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane how like far the speedrunning community has moved. You've seen people fall like Cosmo trying to do Paper Mario and ooh, cheating on stream. That's not good. And he basically dropped entirely. But then you see people keep on pushing further and further like Simple Flips. He still does Mario 64 stuff. He might not do it as I guess to an extreme as he did in the past, but he's still having fun like doing all the tricks and it's kind of entertaining to still see that.
Shout out to Simple Flips.
Yeah, shout out to Simple Flips. um, so what was the process submitting your run to Sgdq?
It wasn't too formal. How it works is if they want, so if you submit a game and it's a game that the committee wants, then whoever has the fastest time at submission time gets to run it. And it's awkward a little bit to submit your games because you have to like write an elevator pitch, like describing what the game is and why they should choose it. For Breath of the Wild, it was awkward to like write an elevator pitch because I sort of had to like sell the game and then also like why it should be in the marathon. Like if it's like a game like A Link to the Past, they already know why it's A Link to the Past. You just have to say why like your run is cool. But me, I had to like sell like the game and why it should be in, and it was difficult to get the game in SGDQ in general because the submission deadline was like 2 weeks after the game came out. So the second I got my hands on Breath of the Wild, I was just grinding, trying to figure out exactly if it was possible to even do like a competent speedrun and have that ready to submit to the committee in 2 weeks. And it was a very interesting challenge.
Yeah, because we did see two big games that were new to SGDQ, Nier Automata and then Breath of the Wild, because those two games, to my knowledge, have not been at AGDQ at any point in history. So I'm guessing I forgot who was running Nier. I don't remember exactly, but I can imagine it was a pain to get that submitted as well.
Real quick, we
Yeah.
have a correction. It was Chibi that cheated on stream.
Oh, Chibi. Yeah, never mind. It was the wrong
Yeah.
name. Okay, sorry. It starts with a C. Okay.
Yeah, and TTYD.
Yeah, and I remember that he held A. It's like, oh, and he had no reaction. He was like, yeah, you cheated. I'm sorry, dude. So I was also bringing up earlier in the stream with the whole barrier break in Wind Waker that happened a while ago, and people are hunting that down like crazy. What do you see as the next big trick for Breath of the Wild?
Um, anything regarding the plateau and being able to speed that up, there isn't really any way to skip the plateau. Like you need the paraglider pretty much for any category to speedrun, and the only way to get the paraglider is by doing the 4 shrines on the plateau. One thing that I hope gets found is a way to skip the tower. So when you start this Breath of the Wild speedrun, you have to do the Sprint of Resurrection cutscenes, which last 3 minutes, and then you walk to the tower for 2 minutes, and then you watch 3 minutes of cutscenes at the tower. And the tower activates the 4 shrines in the plateau, but you don't actually need to go to the tower. Like if you could enter those 4 shrines independently without them being activated, then you could get the paraglider without ever going to the tower and watching all those cutscenes. It's not too out of the question for it to get found. Like basically, how shrines work is their doors locking you out of them until you activate them is loaded last. So like if you're looking at a shrine from a distance, it's not actually gonna have its door loaded. So if you could get that low LOD shrine to load and just walk up to it 4 times, then you could skip the tower, which would be super cool.
Oh yeah, I should have brought this up earlier, like when I was actually asking about Sgdq. But how's your experience there?
My experience was fun. I went to Sgdq 2015, so that was 2 years ago. This is my first GDQ in a while, and it was fun. I didn't know anybody personally before going to the event, but because I had like a slight online notoriety, it was very easy to make friends because like people knew me, so it wasn't like I had to be like, oh, what do I do? It was just like someone's like, oh, hey, you're Orcastraw, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I am, and then go get lunch, and it's very easy to make friends.
Because all of you share an interest, and then you all have an interest in speedrunning. You have an easy connection at that point.
Yeah.
Push, is there any comments you want to throw into the mix?
We have another question from the chat. This is from Pyro Chor. Awful at pronouncing names, I'm sorry. What is the next game that you're planning to speedrun? Are there any games that you've always wanted to run but haven't had the chance yet?
Um. Hmm. Games that I've wanted to run but haven't done yet.
And then the first part is there any games that you are planning on running?
So for games that I've wanted to run but haven't done yet, I've tried like a couple of times to learn Majora's Mask 3D, and I haven't ever quite learned all the tricks. So I think that would be fun to eventually pick up. As far as the future, I'm probably gonna try doing some more Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD speedruns in a couple months. So that's something I'm excited about.
Yeah, I know I brought up to you specifically in Orchestra, but like the main thing that got me interested in running was Twilight Princess. I was watching someone named Mofat or Zodiac Smash. They went by two different names at the time. It was really on and off with them. But like seeing the tricks they pulled off, it was absolutely insane. Especially like there's some trick early in the game with like Wolf Link and then a Moblin. You need a very specific section to jump over them at. It's like, yeah, no, you skip the cutscene, and to my knowledge, that small little glitch was actually taken out of Twilight Princess HD. So they really dug in deep.
For Twilight Princess HD, they removed glitches that could cause save file damage, and then glitches that were like embarrassing. So like any glitch that, like if you do it, and then they're just like, why is that there? They took that out. So like small dumb stuff that like didn't really matter. And then they took out the glitch to get the Master Sword early.
Yeah.
Because it permanently damages your save file to halt progression unless you do more glitches. So like it can mess up your save file in that way. So they took that out, which I think makes sense, kind of.
Yeah, it's still weird, like, they didn't change the properties for the Gale Boomerang, though, because that was the deadliest glitch in Twilight Princess. For people who don't know, basically, the Gale Boomerang glitch, if you throw a Gale Boomerang, you're in a locked-in state, and whenever Link's in the state, if he draws the sword and does the jump attack, he jumps as far as he can to his target. With the Gale Boomerang, you can do exactly that. If you throw your Boomerang anywhere, Link will go into this locked-in state, pull out your sword, you jump attack, he'll go as close as he can to where the Gale Boomerang is at the time. Seeing that not take well patched out of Twilight Princess HD is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that glitch doesn't work on the Wii version. Not because it was patched, just because like they changed how the controls work slightly.
Yeah.
And it's definitely just weird, like looking at Twilight Princess Wii speedruns.
By the way, we got another donation from Nerbion. He says, "Good morning."
Ooh.
Yeah, he had to stay up quite late for Mania.
Yeah. He'll be coming on in just a couple minutes.
Awesome.
And then I'll be back tomorrow with the Smashified crew.
Yeah. So, by the way, Rihiro, I can hear myself on your end.
Wait, my end?
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to. I'm wearing earbuds.
I don't know.
Oh, I think it's only slightly on Orca's side, but it's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
I'll turn it down on my end. All right.
It's a good thing we discovered this late. It shows that no one cared.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any plans for your personal brand going forward, Orchestra?
My personal brands.
Yeah. Are you? Because a lot of people know speedrunners not just from the runs they do, but from their personality and stuff like that.
Yeah. Um, I I edited a video today. I'm like drawing a blank.
Hmm.
I do stream a lot though, so definitely check that out if my brand appeals to you.
My brand. They don't have my brand.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I need to call that number. I'm actually low on contacts.
Yeah. Someone says that your brand is your thighs.
Someone's definitely a fan.
Um, so when I was doing my Sgdq run, I like didn't realize the positioning of the webcam or of the camera they were using for the at the events,
Hmm.
and like I like was like going to adjust my outfit before I got to the run. But I was like, oh, I don't want to do it on stage. That'll look weird because like, I was also on the stage at the events, so I didn't end up adjusting my pants. And I'm like, oh, no one's gonna notice. No, it's not gonna show up on the camera, but it did. So everyone's always just like, oh my gosh, Orcastraw, your thighs, because like in front of hundreds of thousands of people, they just saw my legs.
See,
Essentially.
I kind of have like a similar experience. I've done orchestra for years at this point, and I look to the left of me. I see this one girl pulling at her dress, and I look forward at stage. Everyone's looking at her, and it's like, oh my god, this is happening right now.
Did you put like an your like city's orchestra or like your school orchestra or something?
It was school orchestra, but like I was planning on doing city, but like I never went forward. Really did anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I assumed like to get in a bigger orchestra, you need to like be a music major, which is like kind of like pulling at your hair and eating at the same time. It's like really
Yeah.
difficult to do. Yeah, I was in my school's bands. I was like, I'm very proud of it. I was in the uppermost band, and we traveled to like Chicago, and I played in that symphony hall. It was cool.
Is that where your name comes from?
No, my name. I was trying to think of a good name for a website because I used to make websites when I was in middle school,
Hmm.
and I was just like, "What's a good name?" And I settled on that. I sat in that question for 3 days, and I came up with the Orcastraw. And then when I came to Twitch, I didn't have like a non-cringy name to use at the
Yeah.
time, and so I'm like, I need to rebrand myself. I'll use that Orcastraw name I made, and it stuck.
Oh no, trust me about names. I look at my own username every day. And it's like I made this. I still have it, but like the problem is if I just go to hero, it's like hero who? There's like so many heroes I know. It's like yeah, I don't know what to do with it. I've been so stuck on like getting a new name, but I've
Yeah.
never really pushed for it.
I've been really lucky with my name. I came up with my name from a garbage can in Osaka, and it's pretty unique and it's pretty memorable. So
Good job, little Japanese man.
push that dust in.
I didn't know for the longest time that it was like 3 words, like or like push dust in. I thought it was like
Yeah,
push and then your name's Dustin.
Yeah, I
Oh.
always thought of that too.
yeah. A lot of people think of that because the I, it just they automatically assume it's lowercase or something.
Yeah, like now I look at the kerning and I'm like, oh, that's definitely, I don't know.
I can promise you, when I messaged Push in the early days, I said Dustin just one word.
Oh my god.
No,
Like-
a lot of people do that. I don't take offense to it at all.
Yeah, it's just you slowly realize it's like, oh my god, I've been typing it out wrong this whole time. So I've just slowly just been calling you Push, and it's like, yeah, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Anyway, do you have any final questions, Rihiro? Or Hero?
I don't think so. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'll make sure I talk to you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was really great to have you on the stream.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big Source Gaming fan. I try
Yeah.
to read most of the articles and videos y'all put out, so
Yeah,
it's an honor.
I definitely noticed that you share a lot of our content. And that's why when I was organizing this live stream, I was like, oh, I gotta have Orcastraw on.
Yeah. Every
That's
push
that's everyone's reaction. They're just like, I gotta have Orcastraw.
We need it for the thighs. Thighs
Yeah.
sell.
Oh my god.
You You gotta change your avatar on Twitter to just your thighs.
You know what to do for April Fool's? No.
I actually have like a cartoon version of my thighs drawn because like I asked my stream chat a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, what's like a good Twitch emote? What's all Twitch emote ideas? And like so many of them requested like a thighs emote that I couldn't step down from this opportunity. So now I have that drawn up. So I have something on the ready for April Fools, I guess.
There you go.
And Push saying your name was based on music, you just name yourself Orca Band because that's what you're doing. Make everything go worldwide.
Yep.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be linking your Twitter in the chat right now. And
All right.
please go ahead and follow Orcastraw.
Thank you so much.